The 4x4 Podcast, episode 133.
You're listening to the 4x4 Podcast, the podcast all about four-wheeling, overlanding, off-road racing, and the outdoor lifestyle. We talk about news, tips and tricks, answer your questions, and interview big and little names in the off-roading world. So whether your rig is busted and you're in the shop wrenching on it, or you're on your way to the trail, join us and we'll keep you plugged in on topics to help you get away. Here are your hosts, Dan, Craig, and Rich.
What is up, guys? How are you doing tonight?
Hey, doing great.
I'm on a high.
Yeah?
Yeah, it
Still
was
feeling
exciting
pretty good
last
after
weekend, man.
the Sandsport Super Show?
Yeah, I think I had a blast, even though it was a really long day. Long day.
Especially for you.
For me. Oh yeah, but I actually enjoyed it. I was excited to meet up with you, and I there was a lot of things I should have been doing, but I was more excited about meeting up with you, and there were some things I missed at the show, but still, that show was a lot more than it's ever been.
Yeah, it was really surprisingly large. So let's back up here. So we did go to, and by we, I mean Craig and I both met up at the Sandsport Super Show there in Costa Mesa this last weekend, and it was the first time that we ever got to actually meet in person. So anybody that caught that live video on Facebook, they would have caught that. But so the Sandsport Show really caters to the desert and beach scene, like the dunes and stuff. That's primarily what it is.
Sports.
Yeah, obviously, based on the name, that's what's there.
Yeah.
So you're not finding a lot of rock bouncer and rock crawling stuff there, or mud stuff. And I mean, the really cool thing is that the sand rail scene is alive and well. Like, you're talking high horsepower, large tires, large paddle tires, and tons of UTVs. So whereas if you looked at this show probably 10 years ago, it probably would have been a bunch of like Yamaha Raptor type stuff. But now it is all UTVs. And
well, if you go back and look at our page in 2013, when I went to the Sandsport Show and I posted that stuff, it was just the UTVs were just coming in, and they weren't. I mean, they were more of the stock. The only custom you saw was maybe in the cage or in the seats.
Oh yeah,
in the steering wheel. This was tires, rims, suspension, all out horsepower, superchargers, axles. This stuff has gone insane. And I don't know if you noticed, but I noticed a lot of license plates on these.
Yep. So there was a lot of them that were from out of state. So I saw like Utah, Idaho, Montana, did I say Nevada? All had license plates on these things. Arizona, yep. So there's a lot of states where you can get these things licensed, which is funny because just recently I saw a video on YouTube. I shared it to the Facebook page where somebody wanted to be able to drive their UTV on a daily basis. And so they took a old VW Bug that was registered and everything and swapped the body off and grafted it onto a Polaris RZR XP1000. So for VIN purposes, they had it as this VW Bug. But they pulled
the parts off of the UTV and put them on the Volkswagen frame? Because that's the only one I'm thinking.
Yeah, that's what happened, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, some of them. I mean, a couple is like the one I pointed out to you. It looked like a Bronco, and then I said, "That's a UTV." Under that, your eyes got real big. Like,
oh, yeah.
Really? I said, yeah, it's a UTV.
And there's some that look like somebody had taken a like a Ford Raptor front clip, and in like PowerPoint, grabbed the corner and just shrunk it down, and just
Yeah. Well, no. One year they actually, I think it was 2016 when I went, or 2015. They actually have one company has a Ford Raptor body that mocks onto the AUTV. I'm not sure which one, but you can put it on there, and it looks just like a little mini Raptor.
Yeah, those things are pretty awesome. But it was, man, we spent all day walking around out there, and it was everything from stock vehicles to highly customized UTVs to sand rails to, everybody that makes the accessories for them. I noticed the California state lands? They had a bunch of different areas. They were advertising some of the like Imperial Dunes or Glamis or
I think there was Glamis, Pismo, California, the California State UTV Off-Roading Association.
Yeah, the California Four-Wheel Drive Association. They were back there, and I still have to sit down and get together with the interview with those guys to talk about that awesome Jeep that they have had. I mean, it's a Jeep JL that they took straight over to Metal Cloak and put on one of their lift kits, and I noticed they had like the six-pack shocks and their dual sport coils and all kinds of stuff. And did you get one?
I got mine.
Yeah, I've got more opportunities. I went ahead and it was a deal. You buy like 5 for $20 or $5 each. So yeah, it worked out. And
what we're talking about is that Cal is every year they get a new Jeep and they outfit it for off-road and they sell raffle tickets for it. And all the proceeds go into California state lands.
Yeah, they do a lot. I mean, a lot to protect the trails here in the state of California. And the nice thing about this raffle is that you don't have to be present to win. You could call them up and buy a raffle ticket over the phone. And, even if you're over in New York, you could win this awesome Jeep that they've had built. And, California is, in a lot of ways, the off-roading mecca. There's so much to see and do out here in terms of legendary trails. The people are traveling from across the country, really around the world, to come here and go off-roading. So even if you don't live with, the Rubicon Trail or the Ducey Ursham or any of those in your backyard, you can still feel good about supporting it and protecting those trails so that whenever you do get to come and participate in those trails, that they're open and available for you. But, yep, they were there, and we grabbed a couple good interviews. Let's see. Really, I tried to sit down with the ones that I thought were the most innovative and captured my attention. Since I don't have a UTV, I don't have any real interest in. I would love to buy one, but I don't have an interest in all the different accessories that go with those. So if anybody in the audience is interested in that stuff, send your hate mail to the 4x4podcast@yahoo.com, and I will slap myself on the wrist for not having grabbed interviews with those guys. But some of the stuff that really captured my attention the most was the Mob Armor. They're a phone and device mounting system, and it uses magnets in ways that I really hadn't thought of before. And I picked one up, and I've completely relooked my love affair with with RAM mount. RAM mount does make an awesome product, but it is a little clumsy when I have to use two phones to put my phone into the X-Grip system. And Mob Armor is much, much more simple than that. So we've got an interview with them coming up later in the show. But there's a lot of other very interesting things that we grabbed some interviews with.
Yeah, it was the nice thing about these kind of shows is anybody, it completely family oriented. You brought your family.
Yeah,
I met the whole family. Very charming, and there was so many families there. Not only when you first walk in, you got, RVs, all types of RVs, from the little tiny ones to the 40-footers with the slide outs, with the little garage.
Oh yeah, the toy haulers. There were a ton of those.
Ton of toy haulers. Well, I mean, they had to bring out the toy haulers that would fit the UTVs.
Oh yeah,
because they were. I mean, it's really gone UTVs. There were a lot more sand rails this year than I've ever seen. On the high end sand rails, I mean, $120,000 and more sand rails.
Yep.
Probably build it for a lot cheaper, but whatever. And then just walking around, seeing the different products, and pretty much everything's for sale. Most of the pictures you see on our page that I took, a lot of those UTVs are for sale.
Yeah, just about every single one of them was for sale. And so some of them, actually, I noticed a lot of them had sold tags on them. So presumably somebody came to the show and laid down somewhere between $20,000 and $70,000 for some of those things. Yeah,
I think the most expensive
Rich, it looked
UTV
like you're about
I saw
to fall out of your chair when I said 70,000.
No, I hear a dog fight in the background.
Oh. Yeah.
No, it was between, I think the most expensive one I saw, UTV fully outloaded, was 55. Was the most expensive one I saw.
I definitely saw one marked down from 80.
56.
Which is insane money.
Yeah. But the average was 40,000, between 30,000 and 40,000.
Yeah.
I think I only saw one around 20, and that one was completely stock.
Oof.
And it was used.
Yeah. Yeah. So, well, if it's something that you could get to drive on a more daily basis, then I think that's a lot more justifiable in expense. Now, what I don't know, and it's because I've just never thought to look it up, is what kind of fuel economy those things are getting.
I don't think there's anything about fuel economy. I think that's just to go play. They are just to go play.
But,
so,
I mean, a lot of people are using these as little get-around-town vehicles in the states where they're authorized to do that.
Yeah, but if you're going to use that, you're really not going that far, honestly. You can't be going that
you're not
far.
Cruising down the highway. But.
Well, you never know, but, I mean, they do get up to about 80 miles an hour, so... But I personally would not want to be in a UTV doing 80 miles an hour on the freeway and then have to pass a rig going the other way.
Oh, no. They would
that's going to be
blow you over.
That sounds exciting. That sounds like fun.
High pucker factor.
But I did see some interesting stuff for actually I wanted to say the rich style of...
The lifestyles of the rich and famous.
No, I was thinking more of our rich lifestyle.
Yeah.
Our rich lifestyle.
As soon as I walked through the gate, I saw the Honda Africa Twin sitting there on display, and I thought, this is right.
I saw the picture. I saw the KTM you took a picture of.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, they had a KTM, and then they also had the Triumph is now making a enduro bike.
Yeah, it's because it's becoming crazy popular and everybody wants to do adventure stuff. Even Harley Davidson, I saw.
I was going to say, when you got a Harley in the game, then...
I don't know about a Harley dual sport.
You jumped the shark at that point.
Yeah. And then there was one, it was really weird. They were actually selling them at the show, and I can't remember the name of them, but they were 250s, and the most expensive one they had was like $3,000. Oh. And they were full, but they were only 250s, which, I mean, not too bad for 250, but for a guy my size, probably wouldn't do very well. 250, I ride a 750, so I know A
Yeah.
250 could not do my
You
750.
got to remember
does.
too, 250 is kind of the standard for the rest of the world. You know.
Yeah,
Yeah.
probably. Yeah,
That's because the rest
would
of the
say
world is
that.
not American sized.
Yeah.
But all the neat products, gas cans, lights, cameras. The one company that they actually do a conversion to your. I think it was they did a conversion to your regular system inside your Jeep, and they put a camera on all the sides.
Yeah. So that was another
And
I got to follow up with those guys. So not only do they make that, but they make a wireless charging pad that sticks in your vehicle, and then like the induction charging that we were talking about
The
before we hit
Qi
record.
chargers. Yeah.
Yeah, you just drop
but
the phone onto
these
the
lay
pad
flat.
in the vehicle, and it charges. And it's rubberized,
Yeah.
so your phone's not going to slide around every time you
It
try to
doesn't
go around the
move.
corner.
Yeah, and
Who
they
is
make
this?
them custom.
Oh.
I forgot which company it is, but they make actually custom pads for whatever vehicle you have, and if you have like a little indentation
Yep.
for like on top of your dash or whatever, they make one that fits that perfectly, and then it sticks in there, so you just be able to drop your phone on it and it charges, but then it also doesn't move around, and it's not magnetic.
Yeah, it's
It's
just a friction rubberized thing. So
Yeah.
don't ask me what it is. Somebody will have to just come back and listen for the next episode or a future episode when we actually grab that interview. I do have his business card. I've exchanged an email or two. I just got to get that one coordinated and meet up with him online.
And the cameras were cool because it was like if you have the top of the line packaged screen in your Jeep, you could get this camera system with a DVR that you hook in the Jeep and it hooks up to that. You got in-sense cameras all the way around your Jeep, so you can use it for when driving down the road. If you get in an accident, you can use that video for
when it goes to court.
when you go to court. Or you can actually also download the stuff after you've done wheeling. You can actually download the camera stuff to watch the ground going like all wonky when you're out wheeling. So
Yeah.
take a little, use some of that camera stuff too. And so I thought that was kind of neat. But I noticed the loudest thing at the show
Holy smokes.
seemed to be the stereo system.
So many stereos.
Was insane. It was like every fourth booth was something to have to do with music for your UTV or ATV or your vehicle. And they had all different kinds of mounting systems, bar mounting systems, floor mounting systems, door mounting systems.
Yeah. I mean, they could have been listening to the 4x4 podcast at like 5 million decibels.
Yeah. And I mean, there were speakers everywhere. And I actually was kind of excited, not only to meet you, but that show actually was kind of fun. I stayed a lot later than I normally do.
Yeah.
Because I left my house at 4 a.m.
Ooh.
Got there at 10:30. Walked the show until you got there. And then we walked around until 5:30. Yeah, well, then we walked around. Me and you met up. Then we walked around till 5:30. I left at 5:30. I got home at midnight.
Jeez Louise.
770 miles and 2 tankfuls of gas. Meeting your co-host.
Yeah. Finally. But yeah, it was a really great show. I'm glad that made the effort to get down there. I spent the night, even though I had like 2.5 hours drives to get there. But that gave us the whole next day.
Yeah, but you also had a lot of luggage. You had 3 kids and a wife, and I just loved your son. He just was like, his eyes were like,
oh man, okay. Especially once he got his hands on those remote control cars.
Oh yeah, you can get his hands off that stuff. It was just like,
It's like take a fish to water.
I want that one.
he knew. I was really surprised. He's 4 years old, but he was able to drive that little Land Rover all over that track that they had set up. It was the RC4WD 4-wheel drive website. Store. They have a website. I've been following them on Instagram for a while, and there you go. You know, the scale RC stuff, kind of like the Axial, kind of their competition. But it was a great time. Really glad made it there. So in this episode, I will play the interview with Mob Armor so that you guys can check out everything it is. And obviously, when you go to purchase one, because I don't know who's not going to want to buy one after hearing this interview. The only reason I would not buy one now is if you were going to wait until they come out with their wireless charging one, maybe. It was, they were talking about what's coming up at SEMA. But yeah, there's a retrofit kit. So Mob Armor, hands down, awesome. I've got it installed in the Ram, and I will likely have one in the Jeep whenever it gets back to running condition, which we will talk about here shortly. But for now, let's go ahead and talk about what all... Rich, you've been very quiet, and I know you've been doing some cool stuff here lately. Step one, turn the mic back on.
There's so much noise in the background. I'm trying to drown everything out. I'm just kind of taking in everything that you guys saw at the show.
And, I guess we should say that to go over to the Facebook page, facebook.com/the4x4 podcast, and it has an album there with lots of pictures. Lots of pictures.
They did, and I was looking for the Karmann Ghia you were talking about earlier. I didn't see it.
Oh, well, I've got that one on my phone, so I may have to add those to the album.
Send it to me. Yeah. No, I'm just we're getting ready for that trip coming up. Went down.
This is the one with Brandon from Berserker?
Yes, Brandon from Berserker Off-Road. We went down to Midland and recorded an interview with them. He videoed it too, so he'll include that in his series. He's going to be shooting a lot of video on the trip, so that'll...
Oh, nice.
He'll kind of add that in, but I recorded an audio interview too. I think we're going to have on the show today.
Yep, we've got that one queued up.
Yeah, and they set us both up with a nice set of radios. Actually, we're using the Midland MXT 275, which I hate to name one of their competitors, but it's pretty well known in the off-road world. Is the Cobra 75, the handheld CB, not the handheld, but it's the vehicle-mounted CB, but all your controls are mounted on the actual microphone handle. That's what the MXT 275 does, but it's a GMRS radio instead of a CB radio, so you get better range.
Well, and so CB radios are limited in power output too. I think
so just
4
like
watts?
GMRS and ham radios all have the certain power range you're allowed to have. So CBs are kind of at that low end of that range, where GMRS can have up to 50 watts. So we'll go into real good detail. Danielle from Midland does a great job of explaining what GMRS is and the legalities of everything. You do have to have an FCC license and all that good stuff, but there's no test. So.
Yeah, that's the thing. There's no test for it, so you can just pay the money and you get it, and it covers the whole family, I think.
It covers
it's all in the interview.
It covers the whole family. I mean, if you had cousins and everything too, that's included too. And the whole thought with that was for family farms, which these are really suited for, was for large ranches and large family farms. My wife and I did a real rudimentary test on my way home from work yesterday. She's using a Midland GXT handheld that we've had for, 3, 4, 5 years. She was able to hear me all the way on the other side of Lawrence, on the other side of town, about 5 miles away. That's impressive. She was able to pick up my signal, but I couldn't hear her. but about 2 miles from my house, I was able to hear her. So that's pretty, when you're picking up a handheld, and being able to communicate with a handheld to a vehicle mount 5 miles, that's pretty good.
So how big is the antenna for this?
I have a 24-inch antenna on my truck. I believe it's a 24-inch antenna.
Which is a lot shorter than the full-length 108-inch whip antenna for a CB.
Right, and it's a lot. It's not as tall as the Fire Stick that everybody uses, and it looks more like the old cop style antennas that you used to see on the back of cop cars.
Yeah.
So, and I've got a magnetic mount, so I can take mine off when I'm not using it. But I had the whole thing installed in no time. I mean, it was the world's easiest install. I just went ahead and used. It comes with a cigarette lighter adapter for the plug-in, or you can hardwire it. I just went ahead and just used a cigarette lighter adapter for it. But
yeah, nice.
I'd say 10 minutes it was installed.
Yeah, and so the handheld part of it is, I'm looking at some pictures here. It looks to be almost the exact same size as the Cobra 75.
Yeah.
So
yep, very similar. Yeah, and then the module or the actual base of it, I've got in the Ram. We've got a huge center console. I've got it mounted inside the center console, so it's nice and tucked away. You can go up underneath your seat, underneath the dash.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I'm really interested to hear how well that performs when you're going from one MXT 275 to another one instead of a handheld. See what kind of distance you're going to be able to push.
Yeah, Brent and I are going to do some good tests with it. So we're gonna see what kind of range we can get.
Yeah. In the interview, did you guys talk about using repeaters at all?
Yes. Yep. We did talk a little bit about repeaters. So. And that's one of the benefits of the GMRS. You were able to use repeaters when they're around.
Nice. Well, I'll have to do some research on that. I don't know that I've ever used a repeater on a GMRS. Maybe that's because I haven't paid my money, which is funny because even if somebody has a ham radio license, that does not translate over to the GMRS license.
Yeah.
Is my understanding anyways. I could be wrong.
I don't know.
Okay. So what else have you been doing to get ready for the trip?
Oh, I installed a transfer case skid, which I just went with the OEM transfer case skid because nobody makes aftermarket skids for a Ram 1500.
Really?
Right. So if we need to get that word out there, somebody needs to capitalize on that. There is nobody making aftermarket skids.
Interesting.
And this OEM skid, I don't realize it at the time, but when I see my truck now, when I'm pulling into like work and I see my truck from the profile, it's amazing how low this thing hangs down. So I'm sure that's going to get it'll get fixed on the trip.
Yeah. So interesting. So I know there's a company that I've been looking at for quite some time about getting some rocker guards, not steps per se, rocker guards, legit rocker guards. It's white knuckle off road.
White knuckle is pretty much the only game in town when it comes to sliders for a Ram 1500.
And they're not making skid plates?
Skids? No.
Huh. Well, those guys are just down the road from me.
Go over there and talk to them.
Yeah. Maybe they need a prototype.
Tell them I will be more than happy to test them for them.
Yeah. Interesting.
I think so will Dan.
Yeah. Yeah, those rocker guards, I showed them to Stephanie. She said, "Yep, just spend the money." So I got to do that.
Oh, God. I wish my wife would do that.
Yeah.
That'd be so nice. Just spend the money.
Yeah, well, that was, of course, before everything else started going sideways. So I guess we can go ahead and jump into my newest thing. So this weekend, I've got time off. I was planning on pulling the Jeep into the shop, and I may still, because my Metal Cloak Duraflex joints have finally arrived. They came off back order. got here. And I've got some new bump stops for the front end ready to go. And coming home from work yesterday, just coming home for lunch, as I was going around a corner, I noticed that the limited slip differential was engaging, and I wasn't even really hammering on the throttle, and it was causing the rear end to pick up and act funny, and yeah, this is really weird. So I just coasted as much as I could and limped it into the driveway, got out, and before I went in to make a sandwich for lunch, I noticed that the everything was out of whack. The wheel on the passenger side rear wheel was much farther forward than it should be, and it's because...
Is that not normal?
No, not normal. And what had happened is, obviously, one of the U-bolts, or both the U-bolts, came loose, and it sheared the center pin on the leaf springs, and the overload leaf, the smallest one that's at the bottom of the pack, shot out somewhere, and it's gone. I have no idea where that crap is.
Somebody's windshield on the highway, probably.
Well, that's the thing. Like, I haven't driven my Jeep out on the highway. It's just been like a 2-mile downhill coast to work and then 2 miles back home. And, besides the short trip to the grocery store around here, like, that's it. And
well, then you should be able to backtrack and find that spring real easy.
You would think so. I mean, it's a giant piece of metal probably laying on the road. So I've looked around.
Springs are hard to find. You ever drop a spring out of a ballpoint pen? Those things are impossible to find.
This is like a case of pens. Thing is,
it's like a pallet of pens. Come on, that thing's huge and heavy.
And so I've looked. I've been running this Skyjacker lift kit since I bought the Jeep in 2004, and since then, I've been pulling a trailer all over the place. I've hauled firewood, lots of heavy loads, lots of daily driving, lots of trails. So these springs have lived a good life. So while I'm going to go look for that...
Except for that one.
Yeah.
That one escaped.
Yep.
It was done. I'm out of here.
Said, that's it. I quit. And so I've looked at getting just a new set of Leafs spring packs. And I called the 4-wheel parts down in L.A. that's got the giant warehouse. And they said, oh, yeah, we've got one. I said, okay, well, that 50% helps me. Because I don't know does anybody replace one leaf spring pack? I've never heard of that. It's always done in pairs. Anyways,
I would think.
Yeah. It's ridiculous. I don't know why they would even carry just one or sell them in singles. Anyways, they said it was going to be a little over a week before it could get here since the Skyjacker headquarters is in Louisiana. And I checked on Amazon too, and they're back ordered. Looks like they've been on back order for quite some time. So here I am thinking I'm going to have to wait at least a week minimum. Well, and by then
I'm thinking coil over rear end.
Oh, see, there you go. I was talking to one of my buddies in Alaska, and that was the first thing he said. Oh, why not do the Ironman off-road or Ironman 4x4 4-link swap and put some coilovers back there? Well, that's nice.
Dan?
Yep.
Dan.
Are you there?
Just spend the money, Dan.
Oh, dadgummit. No, see, she would say that for the truck, not for the Jeep. You see, there's
for
the
her
problem.
toy, not yours.
Exactly. If it makes her life easier, then sure. But so, and the thing is, like, just getting those Skyjacker leaf springs, they're like $3-something each. So there I am, close to $650 for a pair of leaf springs that I know exactly how they ride, which is not awesome. So I posted it on Facebook. And Chris, one of our Facebook fans, and he's over there in the American Adventurist forum all the time. I don't know if he's part of the leadership of that organization, but he's over there all the time. And he recommended a different company, the Atlas Springs. They're also down in the LA area. Not the Louisiana like Skyjacker, but the Los Angeles area. And they do custom leaf springs. And so I gave them a call and told him kind of what I'm looking for, and he said, oh yeah, we can do that. And it's going to be like $30 more to get a set of custom leaf springs with 8 to 10 leaves. So they're going to be nice and smooth. It'll be like a dual rate spring, good for hauling a trailer, and nice and soft for around town. For, about the same price that I would pay for some very stiff springs from Skyjacker. So that decision's made. When they open up tomorrow, I'll probably give them a call.
Problem is, say, that sounds right, especially with you pulling that your adventure trailer.
Yeah, yep. And with the bumper and the spare tire out on the back, that just puts a little more leverage farther away. So it's good. I'm confident that will work. The problem is it's going to be, I was quoted an 8 to 10 week lead time. So I may be riding my bike to work for a while, which, odds are I'd be riding my bike to work for a while anyways, because starting next week, I'm going to be on my, 3-week constant work cycle. So.
Sounds like you need a motorcycle.
Yeah, I would not argue that.
An adventure motorcycle, a 250. Yeah.
Yeah, just spend the money, Dan.
Yeah. So the other thing, since we're on motorcycles, I do plan on getting a fat bike, a fat mountain bike, because my mountain bike, did we talk about when I took a spill and thought I broke my hip?
Yep.
And blew out both tires simultaneously. Turns out I also cracked the wheels. So it's probably good enough for short rides, just to and from work on smooth pavement, but not for actual mountain biking. So I've decided I'm going to upgrade to a fat tire bike, and probably one with an electric motor on it as well. So
I was going to say, go for one of those but they're in the $2,000, $3,000 range though?
Yeah, so like anything else, you can spend as much money as you can imagine on anything. But there's two that I've had my eye on, and we can save that for a different show, but there's the Rad Rover and the Juiced bikes. Those are the two that come to the forefront of my mind every time I think electric fat bike. So that's all I'll say about that for now. I won't disclose which one I have selected. Maybe some of our listeners can chime in on their thoughts on that. But if the answer is just go ahead and get a real dirt bike or, adventure bike, that's just not going to fly. Trust me. I've been fighting that battle for years. At this point, it's just a running joke. Well, I think we're a little over 30 minutes into the show now. So let's go ahead and we'll queue up this interview with Midland Radios first, and then we'll jump to the one with Mob Armor, and then we'll close out the show, and that's a wrap. So, Rich, you did this interview. Is there anything else we need to know before we go ahead and kick that one off?
Nope, Danielle does a great job of explaining everything in there. It's very informative. It's everything you need to know about GMRS radios in about 8 minutes. So,
excellent. All right, well, let's jump to that interview with Midland Radios.
All right. Hey, this is Rich from 4x4 Podcast. In the previous episodes, we had mentioned that myself and Brandon from Berserker Off-Road on YouTube are going to be traveling from the Four Corners area of Colorado all the way up to the Wyoming border, following the Colorado backcountry discovery routes. Well, while I was shopping for radios, I discovered that Midland USA is located right here in Kansas City, and I contacted Danielle Porter, who's their marketing coordinator, and I thought this would be a great opportunity to sit down and discuss with her some of the benefits of using a GMRS radio. So how are you doing today, Danielle?
I am very well. Very excited to talk about this.
Great. Can you tell us a little bit about the history of Midland Radio?
Sure. So Midland Radio Corporation is actually an international company. We've been around for over 50 years, about 51, and we are actually Midland USA, so we're kind of more specific to just the United States. We do CB radios, FRS radios, GMRS radios, business band radios, you name it.
Awesome. And how long has Midland been producing GMRS radios?
So the GMRS radios first came out with a handheld, and that was in, I believe, the early 2000s, so 2001 around about. We came out with our, what we like to call micro mobile units, which are more for your in-vehicle use with an external antenna, and those actually started in 2015.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it seems like the biggest draw for GMRS radios is ranching and farming, somewhere where they have to have a larger reach for basically business purposes. But it also seems like those same situations work great for off-roading and overlanding.
Most certainly.
Yeah. So that's kind of what we're wanting to do, is kind of bring awareness to GMRS and how it'll bridge the gap between CB radios and ham radios.
Okay.
So I know with ham radios, you have to take a test, and there is a licensing fee, but there's also a licensing fee with GMRS, right?
That is correct, yes. Okay. It is $70, and it covers you and your immediate family, and it actually is good for 10 years.
Okay. And in our email that you had mentioned that you're working with a local, or not a local group, but with a Jeep group. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, so recently we had this huge Jeep group reach out to us and tell us that they have had some issues out on the trails with their CB units. They're just really not getting the range that they need, and they were really interested in our micro mobiles and kind of giving them a test to see if that's something that they could switch their club over to in the future. We're in the middle of kind of working out the details, but basically they're looking to switch their entire group from CB recommended, to actually making them carry CBs in their vehicles, and they're actually going to switch over to having the GMRS radios, mainly because you can really get that extended range. You're not limited to 4 watts, you're limited to 50 watts of power. So, the range and power kind of connected. So 50 watts of power is going to get you some good range.
Quite a bit better range.
Quite a bit better.
And I've noticed locally, our Jeep groups around here, they all do. It's in their wording of their bylaws is that you have to have a CB radio. So it'll be kind of nice if we can start to see those groups move away from CBs and more toward GMRS.
Exactly. That's what we're looking to do.
So what is the wattage limitation for CB versus GMRS?
So CBs are limited to 4 watts of power, and the GMRS radios now are a little different based on channel designation. So you're going to be designated to 5 watts of power with your channels 1 through 7, however, on GMRS. And when you are on channels 15 through 22, you're actually regulated to 50 watts of transmitting power.
Okay. And right now, currently the biggest radio you guys have is a 40 watt radio, correct?
That's correct, yes. Okay. Our MXT 400 is going to be a 40 watt radio.
Okay. Mm-hmm. And hopefully in the future we'll be able to move closer towards that 50 watt range as technology evolves. And
that would be lovely. Yeah. We quite think that the 40 watt works, but you can always pair a larger antenna and then kind of get that more efficient range that you need.
And that was one of my next questions too, is what
perfect.
kind of tips do we have that we can increase the range on those GMRS radios?
Sure. So you're going to want to just make sure that you have good ground plane with your antenna, and then we would suggest that you get either our 3 dB gain or 6 dB gain antenna. That is going to keep you at that 40 watts of power, but it's going to make your transmission more effective. Okay. It's going to basically get you the level that you need to get that communication out.
Okay, but again, they're always, just like CB radio and really with ham, you're still going to be affected by terrain and buildings and other obstacles. But with GMRS, you're going to be able to overcome that more with that extra wattage.
That is correct. And on top of that, these radios are actually repeater capable. So you can actually use a repeater and kind of jump over those hills and mountains, if you will.
Awesome. I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Okay. And so do the CB antennas, I know they have to be tuned with this SWR meter.
That's correct, yes. You want to make sure that your CB antenna is always tuned. However, with the GMRS radio antennas, they are actually tuned to a center frequency, so they are ready to go right out of the box.
Right out of the box.
Plug and play.
Plug and play. Mm-hmm. You got to love that.
Yes.
Okay.
User friendly.
And I know I have a couple of those FRS radios, those family radios, those little cheap, inexpensive ones. Some of those are also GMRS capable too, correct?
So it's kind of a difficult designation because of the changes in September of 2017. The FCC has kind of allowed for things to change up a bit. So what you used to hear as FRS, GMRS have actually been taken apart. It is FRS and GMRS. However, they all still use the same channels. There's just different limitations per what radio you're using. But the best thing about it is, you can be on your micromobile and you can be talking to a handheld unit outside of the vehicle, say talking to your family, if they're at the campsite and you're driving around.
Right. I see the biggest benefit of that really is for people who are off-roading and rock crawling is that now you'll be able to take an inexpensive handheld radio and your spotter can actually use that handheld radio and communicate more effectively and safely with the driver of the Jeep.
And that's the experience that we have with some of the clubs that are already using these radios.
you guys have been graciously enough to donate a couple of radios to us to use for our trips. We're going to be using the MXT 275s.
Yes.
Can you tell us a little bit about those?
Of course. So they actually just came out. We've been very excited about it. We like to listen to our customers and hear, what do they need? And everyone kept saying, oh, we don't have dash base. We don't have dash base. We need something that we can actually hide the actual body of this radio away and only really deal with the handheld part. So that's what we've done. All of your control is in your hand. You don't have to reach under your seat to change the channel, turn up the volume. Everything is there and it's ready for you to use. You can actually hide it away in a center console and just have the headset out, and it really works. If you don't have any dash space, it's not a problem.
Nice. So the only thing you really see is your mic, and that's
exactly.
it. Everything else is hidden away.
And it's beautiful.
Yeah, it is. It's a nice radio.
Yeah.
Where can people find those?
Well, we would suggest that you go on to midlandusa.com or our Midland Amazon, and that is actually going to cost you $149.99. So it's actually very, very reasonably priced.
Okay, and that was something else I noticed when I was shopping around, was that a quality GMRS radio was pretty comparable, sometimes even cheaper than a CB radio too.
It's cheaper and it's actually smaller, so you're going to be able to hide it somewhere a little bit easier. You don't have to actually take up console space, tear things out of your vehicle like you might have to for a CB.
Yeah, and less tuning makes it easier to install.
Exactly. So, like I said, plug and play.
Awesome. Well, thank you for your time, Danielle.
Of course, thank you.
All right, thank you, Danielle and Rich, for doing that interview. I'm really looking forward to seeing some real-world feedback once you get that into use. And now we have the interview with Mob Armor, recorded down there at the Sandsport Super Show. So we are here today at the Sandsport Super Show in Costa Mesa with Cody from Mob Armor. How are you doing today?
I'm good. How are you doing?
Excellent. So I've really heard a lot of good things about Mob Armor. I've got a friend who's got it and just has said nothing but great things for it. But I've been a ram mount user for many years, and so I had to see what you guys were all about. So tell me a little bit about Mob Armor.
Of course. So Mob Armor was originally designed in Central California. It's kind of a funny story. We originally purpose-built our products for the off-road industry. One of the engineers that worked for us at the time actually built the first phone mount for his truck, so when he goes off-roading and jumps his truck in the dunes, his phone didn't fly around the cab.
Yeah, well, if it can hold on and jump in the dunes, it's got to be pretty good.
Exactly. So that actually that leads me to the first point of why our products is actually, in my opinion, the best overall. We've really emphasized durability with our phone mount. We feel like nobody ever took that approach to the phone mount industry. Phones are very, very expensive nowadays. Your insurance to fix that phone is very, very expensive nowadays.
No kidding.
So therefore, we took the approach of let's make a really quality phone mount. Like let's make a Ferrari of the industry for phone mounts. So we made the first phone mount, and it's been blowing up ever since. The other big upsell that we have for sure over all the other companies, I feel like, is that universality for Mob Armor is a big thing. So a lot of phone mounts out there were actually mount into your vehicle and stick and stay, or you have to drill it in and it stays there. Whereas our mounts move around everywhere with you. So they basically take on a life of their own. They go in your shop, they go in your office, they go in your kitchen when you're cooking, not just your vehicle.
Oh yeah.
So that's always been a big upsell for us, is that it's more than just the phone mount. And we're a lifestyle company, to the sense that we're all off-roaders ourselves. So we like to say built by off-roaders for off-roaders kind of thing.
Yeah.
It's a catchphrase we like to use. And so we have a passion for this industry, and our passion will continue being the leading driving force behind these innovative mounting solutions that we bring to the off-road industry.
Yeah, if it can hold on in those kind of terrains. And so let's talk a little bit about the compatibility. Like if somebody's got a case on their phone, how is this going to work with the gajillion different varieties of phone cases out there?
Very good question. So we also took the approach of universality, to the sense that we don't want you to have to worry about getting a new phone case, or a new phone mount, if you get a new phone case or get a new phone. So our mounts are actually magnetic based, most of them, or if they aren't, they all work to the sense that no matter what phone or phone case you get, it will still work. So therefore you don't have to worry about it. It's not proprietary, which is a huge upsell. Phones, like I said, are very, very expensive. Our mounts are on the higher end as well, because we're more quality, but you never have to get another phone mount. It doesn't break and it holds that phone, so it's amazing when you think about it that way.
So there's two different kinds, it looks like. There's the magnetic ones and the ones that kind of clamp on.
Yes.
What would make somebody want to go the magnetic route, or why would they want the clamp on?
It's it's up to the consumer. We like to to create a solution for your problem. So it depends on where you like your phone and what you're using your phone for. So the claw mount one, that goes on any bar up to 2 inch, and it goes down to almost 0. So it can mount on even a flat surface, like on the side of your desk, it will clamp onto the side of your desk.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's really cool. The Jeep people love it. They put it on the grab bars. They put it on that grab bar in the front for the passenger.
Yep.
Sometimes people put it on like the pop-out parts of the dash because it is a flat surface, like at the side of a desk, like I was saying. And then the magnetic one works amazing because it basically, we have these steel discs with 3M VHB as an adhesive, or not an adhesive, I should say.
Yeah.
It's a very high bondage tape. It's not like adhesive because the heat won't bother it, and you don't have to worry about goo gone when you take it off. It won't leave any residue behind, so you can use it in high-end vehicles too.
Yeah, well, I can tell you that stuff is very chemical resistant because I've had it on the bottom of my Jeep for 6 years, whether it's been East Coast salt or up in the Arctic, north of the Arctic Circle, and everywhere in between. So,
pretty weatherized.
Oh yeah,
that's awesome.
That GoPro mount that's been down there, it's going to take some doing to get it off whenever I choose to take it off.
Nice. That's cool. 6 years is a long time.
Yeah.
We haven't been out for over 6 years, so we haven't done that, but we have a lot of them that have been on for 4 years and haven't moved. So.
Oh yeah. Yeah. So that's really cool. You put this on basically anything.
Any car, any surface. It works anywhere with any phone, any case. It's not proprietary, which is the biggest upsell of everything. So we have durability, we have universality, and overall, it's just a really cool mount that goes everywhere with you in your outdoor adventures too, not just in your car. So we have people that come back to the show to buy more, not to buy more because it broke or anything. It's to buy more because they like it so much, it works so good, they don't want to move it from car to car.
Yeah.
They simply just want more everywhere. So
yeah, that makes perfect sense. So when I got my wife her new truck, one of the first things she said was, "You're not drilling any holes in this dashboard." So okay, so I've been looking for something else to do, and one of the ideas that I had is if I put like a magnetic surface on the back side of the dash, would the magnet be strong enough to hold through that plastic and still be able to hold on?
The pull strength of a magnet is actually affected if you put something in the middle of it like that.
Okay.
So what we tell people with their phone cases and stuff is you don't have to stick it there, just put it in between your phone and your phone case, try it, see what the strength is, if you like it, then peel the 3M off and then stick it for permanent for the case. But or you could just leave it back there, not peel it at all. But if you're off-roading, you always want to have that direct to the magnet.
Yeah, you want it as good as possible.
Yes,
so
our mounts will work for anything as far as off-roading. It's pretty amazing how well our 90-pound pull force magnet works.
Yeah.
And it's a rare earth neodymium, so it will not affect the phone or your device. That's actually a good topic to bring up because people still think it might.
Yeah, I thought
it won't
maybe
affect it all.
The magnetic's going to put a weird figure on the screen.
The shape of the magnet or something. Not at all. It actually does not affect it. So it's amazing.
Okay.
Yeah, it works good.
Well, a lot of new phones have the wireless charging. Is this compatible with something like that?
Very good question. So our phones mounts currently, our Mob Mount switch is okay for the wireless charging because you don't have to put the steel plate on the back of the phone or the phone case. But if you get the MobNetic Pro, the metal will actually block the wireless charging. Okay. So you would do a couple things. You could either take the phone case off and charge it. You can take that plate and move it to the top or the bottom of your phone case so it doesn't affect it because typically the wireless charging is in the middle of the phones. Okay. Or keep this as a secret. We're
just you and me here.
SEMA's coming up, so we're going to be launching our QI versions of all of our phone mounts at SEMA, which will then allow you to charge it, mount it, all the above. And the best part about that is we're even going to offer an upgrade kit. So if you have a Mob Armor mount, because everybody loves their Mob Armor mount so much, doesn't want to get rid of it, you don't have to throw that thing away. All you have to do is buy an upgrade kit.
Okay.
So you can turn it into a QI mount.
Nice.
Or a wireless charging mount, I should say.
That's awesome.
Yes.
It'll also be helpful in when you use your alarm clock as the phone, you wake up in the morning and try to slap that thing across the room.
Of course.
It's going to stick right there on the nightstand.
Yeah, that's it. Absolutely.
Awesome. Well, we're gonna have somebody at SEMA, so we'll look for you there and check out the new hotness.
Yeah, I'd love to show you guys. At that point, I could talk to you more about it too. I can actually explain the features and everything like that, and really give you a rundown of it. It'd be cool for you to stop by. You'd love it.
Excellent. So, if somebody wants to learn more about Mob Armor, where should they go?
You can go to mobarmor.com. We have a dealer locator on there if you want to look for a local dealer of where to pick up the product closest to you. And then we also sell it online as well, and you can research it online through our website and learn more about it.
Right on. Mobarmor.com.
Yes.
We'll have that.
mobarmor.com.
Perfect. All right, Cody. Well, thanks for your time, and look for you at SEMA.
Sounds good.
You're listening to a 4x4 Radio Network podcast.
That's right. We are a member of the 4x4 Radio Network. And on that network, you can also find the Trail Chasers podcast, the Center Steer podcast, the Jeep Talk Show. We've got On the Trail with Kevin and Scott. Just loads and loads of good off-roading shows for your ears to keep you company and entertained, educated, inspired, and everything while you're doing your daily tasks. And especially, between episodes here of the 4x4 podcast, I really recommend you guys go check out those other shows that we have there. And you don't even have to go find them all. Just go to the 4x4radio.com, and that'll give you all the links to all the shows on the network right there. And you can support the show. Just do your shopping. You can go over to the show notes here at the 4x4podcast.com/133. We've got that link for Amazon. Go over there, shop for all of your stuff. Anything you're looking for is right there. Or you can use our link, the 4x4podcast.com/Amazon, and we'll get a few cents from those. It's a very small percentage, but it is a percentage, and that does help pay for the website and media hosting, and helps put some gas in the tank so we can go hit up some of these shows that we're we're able to cover. Which there are other shows coming up, so it's awesome. And if you're in the California area or anywhere in the southwest United States, there is a chance that we could run into each other. So let us know where it is that you're going, where you want to see us, and we'll make some plans.
And in 2 weeks, there is, or actually a week and a half, is the Off-Road Expo.
Yeah, Off-Road Expo.
At Pomona Raceway. I had the date right here. What was it? The October?
It's that first week in October, isn't it?
No, it's the end of September 29th and 30th, I believe it is.
Right around the corner.
Yeah, it's always 2 weeks away from the Sandsport Expo. So.
And the Off-Road Expo is another huge show. Lots and lots of everything off-roading, not just focused on sand stuff like the Sandsport show. So that's a good one there. If you'd like to send us some feedback, I already mentioned the 4x4 podcast at yahoo.com for emails. We're on Facebook and Instagram and Twitter, just any of those things / the 4x4 podcast. And you can leave us a voicemail. We haven't got any voicemails for quite some time, so we'll have to send that there. It's 719-924-5337. And if you don't want to leave a voicemail, we can get some higher quality audio just there on the show notes for this one. Just hit that speak pipe and send some feedback that way. And if you don't have enough jobs to do between sending us voicemails and emails and Facebooking and all those things, we haven't gotten any iTunes reviews in a while. So be sure to hit us there, 4x4podcast.com/iTunes. Should jump you straight into that store there. Or, a lot of iPhone guys, they're using the podcast app that comes built into their iPhone. And you can hit reviews right in there. But I think that's it. Did I forget anything, guys?
No, I noticed on our Instagram page, on the 4x4 podcast Instagram page, that there's a call button. Does that link them directly to our voicemail?
You would think so. I should check.
Okay.
I'm kind of a Instagram illiterate, unfortunately.
I don't know. Let's have a test.
Well, we'll probably add it. And I know we can also add phone numbers on our Facebook page, so we might add that phone number to our Facebook page as well.
It's all there. Yep.
All right.
Yeah, Instagram, it's got the, sure enough, it does launch us into the phone number. There you go. Who knew?
And the only thing I have to say is I would say I am lucky enough that I will be going to SEMA. I will be in SEMA on the Thursday, the open day, and I'll be there Thursday and Friday. So if anybody sees anybody with a podcast shirt, most likely it's going to be me.
Oh yeah, there's a lot of companies that I know are looking for us to be there. Yeah, but I unfortunately will not be able to make that one. Work is still a thing. But anyways, for now, it is time to hit the trails. So God bless, tread lightly, and stay safe while exploring your world.